Welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. This is The World This Week. With us, Anne Baghamer of the International Herald Tribune, Craig Kopidis, author of Bear Hunting with the Politburo and other books, and Viv Walt from Time Magazine, and from Visao, it is Ana Navarro. Pedro, welcome back to all of you. You have to hand it to the Greeks. They know how to do drama, suspense, and they also know how to do sequels. Returning to the polls after last month's general election, failed to come up with a working majority. 80% of the country wants Greece to stay inside the euro. What they don't want, though, are the current terms.
We cannot play poker or dice with Greece. There is the path of responsibility, and you are clear about what you want. You want the euro and a renegotiation of the bailout.
Craig Kopidis, that was the head of the center-right. Is he the next prime minister of Greece?
I don't have a clue. I think the Greece election remains a toss-up no matter what the polls are saying. What you've had happen in Greece was, which is, we all know has been going on for a number of years, and I think you rightly put it in dramatic terms. I think up until this weekend, what we've had in Greece is we're seeing a Shakespearean shift this weekend. Prior to now, it was kind of like A Midsummer Night's Dream, a kind of humorous farce of people who don't know what the hell they're doing running through the farce, in which the main line from that play is Puck turning to Lord Oberon and saying, "My lord, what fools these mortals be." And they continue to be fools. What's happening this weekend, we're going to see if this Shakespearean shift turns it to kind of one of the tragedies in which the key line is going to be, "Cry havoc, let's slip the dogs of war." The situation in Greece, and we've all seen this, and everyone can obviously add in on this, has just degenerated to such an extent that the politicians, all of the politicians involved, appear to me to be feckless. The economists involved and the bankers involved are clueless as to what to do, and I just don't see how we're not going to wake up Monday morning, you're asking about headlines at the end, without seeing this Shakespearean shift in the situation in Greece after these elections. I hope I'm right, as you were saying before, Anne. I hope you're right. I should say that they stay in the euro. I hope you're right. But I just don't get that feeling right now that that's going to happen.
And then a happy ending, Anne Baghamer?
I'm not sure it's a happy ending. I think it might be some kind of a resolution. I don't see the glass as half full. The situation in Greece is terrible. The economy has practically ground to a halt. Foreign investment, which had still been trickling in until maybe a year and a half ago, has not only stopped, it's fled. The people are many of them are living in misery with no hope for the future. That said, there is a will among the people to stay in the euro. They see that as their hope for pulling themselves out. And as the head of New Democracy said, they want the euro, they don't want the onerous conditions attached to the bailout. This may be Spain's gift to the world. The Spanish bailout this week, which everybody agrees is probably not going to come through, but the limited Spanish bailout of just the banking sector has raised hopes in a lot of countries that have accepted these onerous conditions for aid, that they too can have essentially a do-over, a refi.
But are these hopes illusory?
No, I don't think they are.
Where's the money coming from?
The money is eventually going to have to come from Europe. It's going to have to come from the ECB. It's going to have to come from the governments that have invested. It's going to have to come from the banks that have invested in Greece. It's going to have to come from a concerted political effort by the European Union and the Eurozone to decide, you know what, we can't let this experiment fail. There was no exit strategy when we conceived the euro. There is not one now. Whatever we do, we have to keep the euro together, because if Greece leaves, who's next? And once that happens, it's all over. I do think that there is now a concerted effort among European leaders to understand that they have to do something politically and not just financially. It's not a problem that can be solved by throwing money at it, but it's going to take time.
And that's interesting, because when you break down the platform of the far left, which hopes to pull it off in this cliffhanger, It too says it wants to stay in the euro.
Yeah.
It too wants a rethink of the current deal.
Yeah.
But if they win, perhaps the little difference is, let's hope for Greece's sake that Europe's paymaster, Germany, quickly forgets some of their rhetoric.
They looted the country, they impoverished the people, and they lowered the Greek flag and handed it over as a prize to Angela Merkel. As of Monday, together with the people, we begin a new era. An era of great changes and great reforms for the people. On Monday, the bailout will be history. Monday will be a new era of growth and solidarity.
Anna Navarro-Pedro, your thoughts?
Yes, we are in particular extremely worried about what is happening in Greece, because we know we might be online next, although there is no fundamental reason for contagion. Is that the right word? Yes. Portugal has been on austerity measures for 7 years now, you know, even before the debt crisis started off. We have seen...
Is there resentment towards the Germans, the way it's expressed there?
Yes, there is resentment towards the Germans, not only. We know that we did mistakes, that we made mistakes, that we didn't use... We came from very far. We're not going to make history, but we were really behind Europe, but we didn't have... They didn't elect the politicians that were able, you know, to really put the country on tracks to modernization of economy and of other fundamentals. But we still believe that in the messy situation we are in right now, there is no European leader capable of coming up with a solution. I'm afraid I don't share your optimism there. I'm afraid that no one knows exactly what is going to be the next step, what we are going to do, because the problem lies with the euro itself. And ever since, I mean, the crisis was in 2008, the banking crisis and the financial crisis, and we haven't done anything to stop it, and we haven't done anything to bring up solutions for the euro. So we don't have a central bank that, we don't allow central banks to lend to governments. We don't allow the European Central Bank to lend to governments or to other European to other national central banks. We are still dependent on the markets. The markets dictate their law, and we have not regulated financial sector.
But these are all things that I think Europe now realizes have to happen.
But
How?
we realized it 5 years ago, and we still haven't done anything.
It's been going on for over a decade. How can you have a unified currency without a political unity? I mean, Milton Friedman, when the euro started, I'm no fan of Milton Friedman, but Milton Friedman gave the euro 10 years for this very reason. I've yet to hear any of these so-called Solons of Europe trying to find a solution to this. Explain to me how they can save this.
Which brings us to the big tiff that's developing at the end of the week here. Europe's stocks finishing in positive territory amid mounting hopes of coordinated action by the world's top central banks. The French touting a new and improved stability pact ahead of a key summit in Brussels at the end of the month. And that is annoying the Germans.
Without exaggerating, we can say that Germany is part of Europe's growth engine. If you look at the development of labour costs between Germany and France in the past 10 years, then you see that at the start of the millennium, Germany looked rather worse, or at best as good as our neighbour in a lot of factors. The differences have now been growing a lot more strongly, something that should also be discussed in Europe, naturally.
Angela Merkel, who also said Germany will not be convinced by all the quick fixes, such as Eurobond stability funds or European deposit guarantee funds.
I think she's right.
Because all we would do politically is what the markets have already done once by error, and again, we would not have a political union. And otherwise put in layman's terms.
I just don't see how long this euro crisis can continue without some fundamental political changes on the European level. It seems to me like on this show, month after month, we're having the same circular arguments.
So we're waiting the political union that she's waiting for.
I guess so, but it's got to come with some kind of real power for you know, the ECB and a real monetary union.
But that's the truth. I mean, all countries in the Eurozone, none of them has sovereignty, is a sovereign country anymore. None of them. But we are not a federation neither. So we can't have the tools the federation can have in the monetary policy, and we can't have the tools that the sovereign nation can have. So we are really stuck in the middle, and someone has to pull some place, either federalism, either the collapse of the European Union and of the Eurozone.
What you have now is political vaudeville going on in Europe. It's been going on for a number of years. It's going to continue.
But it's a vaudeville that is killing people.
Right.
You know, people are dying.
Vaudeville was never that good. There
It's a silent death. But I can tell you, it's even proven by statistics in Portugal. We have statistics in February of 6,000 people dying, and the government says these are unexplained deaths. And the doctors say they are very easily explained. These are poor people who don't have any more access to social security, to medical aid, they can't eat properly, they can't, heat themselves properly, so they die by the thousands.
And Angela Merkel's remarks are sparking resentment on this side of the Rhine. On Thursday, the German-speaking French Prime Minister venting his displeasure. He was traveling with the press in Western France. He said Europe's status is sufficiently critical to avoid giving into simplistic catchphrases. Things have to be handled with serious and with courage. So a direct pot shot at Angela Merkel. Anne Bagher-Murray, it's not getting off to the best of starts, and it was on top of it the French president and prime minister greeting the German opposition earlier this week here in Paris. Things aren't looking so hot at the beginning of the relationship here between Hollande and Merkel.
No, but on the other hand, you couldn't have gotten much cozier than the relationship between Merkel and Sarkozy. I mean, Hollande is staking out a very different territory from his predecessor. He's probably doing that partly for domestic political reasons. Now, let me be clear about this. This isn't going to happen overnight. There is no magic bullet, and Angela Merkel says as much. But I also don't think that Europe and the Eurozone can afford to let one go. And I think that is the sense of urgency now. It does look like one's about to go. And that hasn't been the case up until now. I really do think that there is, I don't know where the magic solution is going to come from. It may not be a magic one. All of the things we've been seeing, the limited bailout in Spain, the ESM and the ESF, the bailout funds being augmented, all of those bandages on a broken arm, if you like, all of those just serve to kind of kick the can a little further down the road and buy a little more time. I have a feeling we may see some more of that. We may see just buying time. We may see extending maturities on bonds. We may see some other limited bailouts just to give Europe time for more people to come around to the idea that we really do need more Europe and to concentrate the mind. I don't think it's going to be a pretty process, and I think there may be some more casualties along the way. But I really, honestly cannot see a scenario in which Europe just says bye.
And again,
see you around.
We'll know a lot more come Monday and the results of those Greek elections. By the way, it's not just Egypt and Greece voting this Sunday. Second round of voting here in France for the general election. The story was supposed to be about the surge of the far right, how it could fracture mainstream conservatives, the left taking power. Instead, we're talking about the Tweetweiler affair. France's first partner, Valérie Trierweiler, wishing good luck to dissident socialist Olivier Falorni, who, ignoring party orders, looks tipped to beat 2007 presidential nominee Ségolène Royal, who wanted to be Speaker of Parliament and who happens to be the mother of François Hollande's 4 children. And this story has been on the front page everywhere in this country. A lot of people didn't know who Valérie Trierweiler really was before election night. When they saw her on stage at the Bastille, she at that point, after François Hollande had kissed Ségolène Royal on the cheeks at during the election night celebrations, she then demanded that the president-elect kiss her sur la bouche, on the lips. Vivian Walt, this is a story that's just incredible.
Okay, I'm going to.
And that tweet, by the way, is still up front and center as we broadcast.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here, especially as there are 3 women on this panel, which is unusual, and just say that, you know, this couple have been behaving for the last month as if they're kind of playing housey, and that really it doesn't look like the couple of a man who's running one of the most powerful economies in the world, a man who could send people into battle, and his political domestic partner. It looks the entire arrangement for a month, in my eyes, has looked kind of immature. And I think it's enough. I think it's time for them to move into the Élysée, probably get married. I don't know what his problem is with marriage. I mean, it doesn't bother me if people get married or not, but he seems to have a real point of principle about marriage, and no one's asked him why. And
Anne Bagger-Murray predicted it right earlier this week. You said that François Hollande would steer well clear of commenting when asked on a visit to the Italian capital. That's exactly what happened.
A tweet has caused a controversy in France, Italy, etc. Does the First Lady have the right to contradict your position on the election in La Rochelle?
I don't think Mr. Monti can respond to this question.
Can I listen?
But I won't respond either. Not here and not on this topic.
Good man.
Anne Bagger-Murray.
Good man. Exactly what he should have done. Exactly what he should have done. Unfortunate that he was put in the position of having to respond to this. I also said that I thought that Madame Trierweiler ought to apologize. And I think she ought to apologize to him, because I think she has embarrassed him. She has turned the discourse from very serious matters to this, and I think she's done it deliberately to draw attention to herself, to scratch a personal itch, a personal problem she has with Ségolène Royal. It is very personal. None of us should never have known about it, and she certainly should not have made it part of the political discourse. She has let him down tremendously.
So she should apologize. Quick prediction. Monday, what is that front page headline, after all we've talked about?
Oh, the headline I can't give you. I can give you what the makeup of the page is. Greece and Egypt, possibly 2 stories on Greece.
Oh, you're not playing fair here. I wanted one
you
story.
Want more than that?
She's being the editor.
Because we won't know the results.
Vivian Walt.
Greek tragedy, final act, ?
Europe for sale, cheap.
Anna Navarro, Pedro.
I have time. We are a weekly. I dodged the bullet.
And we'll be back next week. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us.
Bravo.
This is The World This Week. More news to come here on France 24.